some, you know, I'm looking at small businesses in downtown U.S. cities getting screwed. You're looking at businesses trying to figure out how to better advertise instead of $300 a week to a newspaper that doesn't do anything. You know, you need to find something that's peripheral to your
We need to find businesses that want to connect with us. But I think that the major problem is that we're not a mesh network, so it's not easy to connect businesses. We need to actually go to them and try to find them, because we're not really spreading the signal around and connecting people like that. So somebody needs to know about us, call us, and ask us about connecting. So I think that's the major problem, and that's what we're trying to change somehow. And the terrain, of course, it's not easy to connect from my house to the center of the city. And one of the major problems is that we don't have a lot of people in downtown Belgrade. So it's like one municipality, almost two biggest new municipalities are connected. The whole municipalities are connected, but downtown is, because of terrain and not too many interested people are in.
If you didn't exist, what are the problems that people have, either in getting connectivity or getting anything else that might relate to the business you're in?
Help, maybe, because we do provide help to all of our members. Not at 2 a.m., but whenever somebody asks us, we always help. Even physical help. So somebody asks us, can we come to the door? And that's like not charged, because I know a lot of my members, so
yeah.
It's only
I guess
friendly basis.
I keep, you know, the whole thing about a freemium model is that somewhere you find the premium service that people will actually pay for. But in part that's
what we're trying to find.
I know, in part that means finding a market that is currently underserved, that somehow relates to your business. I know this business of Facebook advertising, whatever, is a brilliant thing, but it's fulfilling a market for kind of advertising and marketing that happens to be related to the hotspot business.
Right. Well, with the help, maybe, you know, the help is free during normal hours during the week, but then it's costs on weekends and after hours, or if you physically have to go there. That might, maybe your friends might understand.
Some people do that. Some people charge.
Yeah.
But me personally, I don't. So.
Right.
But I don't go everywhere, so I'm just going to the people that I know.
So what's interesting is that, and this is, I think, common in a lot of these clubs and associations, is that the organization is personal. I mean, it's you, right? But if it's not like that they're paying you directly, that they're actually making a contribution to the organization of which you're a member, it's different. So like when the Girl Scouts sell cookies at my house, I know I'm not paying that little girl directly. I'm paying, you know, the organization. She's just a volunteer, right? It's that type of thing. So if you just let them know you're a volunteer, but their contribution is to the organization. That's another way to to shape that.
That's what they know.
Yeah, yeah.
People know this.
Yeah. Were there other questions?
Yeah. For you, Richard. Any of the businesses that you serve, are they obligated to provide the service for free, or do some of them actually charge the customer?
Yeah, we have a philosophy of free for the end user, and that has actually lost us a lot of potential over the years, because so many places want to charge somehow for the Wi-Fi, but we do insist on that, and I think it is inevitable that Wi-Fi will mostly be free unless users have no choice and they're trapped in this place, and you know. So, what about out there? Do you all have thoughts on the freemium business model in your own respective organizations that you would contribute if you were sitting at this table? No? Yeah?
Well, I guess from my own experience in a very, very, very small mesh network in St. Louis, in the U.S., I found that there's potential for creating a sustainable funding model if you maybe build a service in a very, very, very low cost fashion, but perhaps after you decide that your platform is stable, focus all your effort into some kind of value added service. So ideas that I've been working with my partners has been, for example, like a streaming MP3 service in this business district to do hype music in restaurants. Like, we never thought of that idea previously, but kind of in the course of talking to all the participating businesses, we thought like, well, they'll obviously pay for this. They're not going to pay for Wi-Fi access in the restaurant because nobody's going to use it, but pipe music, sure, totally. But maybe, I guess, finding niches that can derive enough revenue to sustain your network, assuming your network is kind of built in a very, very low-cost fashion in the first place.
And currently, do businesses in the U.S. pay for piped music from other services?
Yes.
And how much do you look at this, how much do they pay?
I remember, like, as I saw $100 a month was for a very, very nice premium, well-selected music. Usually, sometimes it's PC running, PC running one to MP3s in the back of the restaurant. Sometimes it's a more professional solution. I'm looking into developing it as part of the $20 a month package that comes with this, 1, 2, 3, 4 megabit Wi-Fi service. They could also have
Basically internet radio.
Yeah.
And the question is, who's the source? Beautiful. That's very nice.
So for others that are thinking about going from charging nothing to charging something, keep in mind you don't get very many shots at that. So if you have 200 customers, like restaurant customers that are paying nothing, and then you want to turn around to them and say, starting in 2011, we're going to start charging X dollars, all right? That's going to shock a lot of them because they've been accustomed to paying nothing for a while, right? So chances are that the money that you want to charge will come from new customers and not from the existing customers. Even if you go from, let's say you were charging $5, you're going to 10, even though you know that you want to get to 55, you go from 5 to 10, you'll have some business people, again, expressing shock, saying, that's a 100% increase. We're talking $5 a month differential for a business that's probably flowing thousands of dollars a month through their business, but they'll object to a $5 increase, they'll call it 100%. So there's a lot of psychology in pricing, that we're not necessarily aware of in our sphere because we tend to give things away in the nonprofit groups. But of course, if you work in the commercial side and you're a marketer, you're very familiar with pricing psychology. And it's something I think we have to deal with in the freemium model.
This is of course true.
Yeah.
Previously, you just provided connectivity and nothing else for nothing or for $5 a month, whatever. If you provide them this added value of social networking, etc., well, you are charging for this new service, right?
Well,
you're not
that's
charging for the same. You're not asking twice as much money for the same service.
right.
You sell them a totally new product.
That's a great point.
So that's just something.
I think our mistake was that we started releasing, enhanced services back when it was free, you see, and so they just assumed, we stole the value out of all the enhancements, and that's a problem. It's something to think about. If you are going to a premium model, don't roll out all the new stuff before the new prices come out, because
That's the problem that we had.
Yeah.
We offered all the services straight away, and so that they could use all the services, live streaming, as I said, voice over IP, downloading, communication, even the internet was involved in the network fee, in that membership fee. So, but then we cut out the internet and the membership fee also. Yeah.
Hey, I'm wondering what you think the relationship is between their being able to start charging the higher rates and the history that we had with setting up the network in Austin. What you just said about maybe you lose customers when you increase rates, it makes it seem like that relationship wasn't so important. But I'm wondering how you think it is, and how you think, like, what would happen if someone started out, kind of offering what you offer now and trying to get something comparable.
Right. So it's interesting. We have 200 customers now. We had 200 customers last year, and 200 before. It's like it's been static. What's been interesting about the 200 is they're not the exact same 200 companies. It's a slightly different group. And what's most noticeable about them is, one, on average, they're paying us more. And two, on average, they have better availability on the network. And they are more loyal in terms of customers. They don't disappear. Our least loyal customers were the ones that were paying us nothing. Right? They're the ones who just vanished without a trace and wouldn't return phone calls. And they were paying nothing. So that was an interesting correlation, that the more they paid, the better customers they were, and the better network node they were, because they valued being on the network. And so they took care of the gear, and they made sure if there's a power failure, they restore everything. I mean, they were responsible caretakers of the network.
That means that if they're a different 200, that means that at some point you've lost hotspots. What's the impact on that? Like, what's your relationship like with the end user especially?
Right. So the end users, we lose them unless the end users come back to current nodes on the network. Now, for the businesses that dropped off, that's true. So they're no longer customers, and we're sad about that. Now, here's the secret. If there's a business that has been a business on our network for years and they still don't pay us, we don't turn them off. Right? We leave them on there. But if they call up with a lot of support needs, we kind of remind them that they haven't paid anything in 8 years, right? So that's that.
From those hotspots we lost, do you get anything from the end users, or do you have a relationship or even a channel?
It's interesting. The user community is divided because there are, I think, a majority of users that would just prefer that there was no intermediary, right? That there's no Capita portal, there's no login, there's no splash screen, there's nothing. And that's true. That's great, assuming that the Wi-Fi is working, right? But a lot of times where there's no intermediary, the Wi-Fi is not working, and there's no recourse, and then you're upset, right? So among our users, I think they tolerate the logging in business, but then they're also very glad that our Wi-Fi is always working. It's like going into a Starbucks. You just know it's going to work there, and you haven't wasted a trip. Chris, did you say you had a thought on the?
Oh, I was just going to comment that your discussion about how we're really used to just sort of enthusiast community doing things for fun of it, and I've had some discussions with you this week about how organizations that work like that, it's really hard to change, and we end up getting really invested and really frustrated as volunteers. And that what you said about burnout and really resonated with me personally and some of the other people.
Well, that does feed into almost everything we do as volunteers. Like even in the geek session on the status of OSR. Someone told me afterwards, I said, I wish it was more technical and less passion about one technology versus another. And I said, well, the passion is clear. It doesn't matter if you're working on the policy side or if you're working on the geek side, because we're all volunteers and we're not compensated for this work. Most of us have day jobs. The work that we do is going to be impassioned work. And so that's what you're picking up in all the panels, whether it's tech or policy. There's going to be passion, because without it, I don't think any one of us would be here. I think the panel.
I think we've run out, unless there's another question. We've also arrived at 1 minute past the terminating